We're back here at another day of NBA Summer League. Today, I have the honor and privilege of being here with ex-NBA referee for 33 seasons and now a development advisor for current referees in today's game across the league. I might mention that being the WNBA and G League as well as with the NBA. How you doing today, Mr. Salvatore?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Jim.
Viewers and listeners out there, before I go into the questions and all of that, I must say that both of us were born and raised in Connecticut, so you're dealing with some dangerous guys here.
There you go.
We got some
scary guys from Connecticut.
Scary guys, feisty guys. Yeah, since we're on the topic of Connecticut, let's talk about that for a little bit. How did a guy from the East Coast get into such a specialized and, I guess you could say, rare career as being an official?
You know, it was something I never started out thinking professionally. I started out refereeing junior high school games, rec games,
Wow.
for $5 on a Saturday afternoon to have bear money for that night.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was after that, I enjoyed it so much. I had played sports in high school and college. And then, you know, you want to continue. It's like when you leave the game, you have nothing else.
Right, right.
So I went and I got my high school patch. I worked some years in high school. I had some nice things said about me. I paid my own way out to the LA Summer League for, I don't want to say tryout, but something similar to that. It was run by NBA referee Daryl Garrettson. He liked me. He put me into his minor league for 2 years, and I got a job.
Wow. I think that's how.
A lot of things in between.
Right.
A lot of refereeing games and various places to hone your skills in the summer leagues of Washington, D.C. and New York City, Harlem, and places like that.
You got to build your way up some way, right? I mean, that's how it goes nowadays. But I wanted to talk about back in May. I actually first met you at the conference finals in Boston against Miami. I was a little hesitant to go up to you and talk at first because you probably thought I was an annoying kid pestering you with some questions, but
I have 4 kids.
So you deal with it.
So I have an idea of what pestering is from 4 kids. Don't worry about it.
You answered me. You gave me some great answers, insightful answers that I definitely took away and learned some new things. But I guess when you were in that time in Boston, your role was to just kind of grade the refs and how they were doing.
That is a DA's role, is to evaluate and train. So what happens in a game like that, or any game that we evaluate, in our locker room there's a computerized setup that is hooked up into Secaucus, New Jersey, our replay center.
Right.
So I'll take notes during the game of what I saw good and maybe some bad from the referees, and then after the game, we go into the locker room, and I can say pull up 2:22 of the first quarter.
Right.
And the people in Secaucus can pull that play up, and we can look at it from 9 different angles.
Wow.
And then we'll just chat about the play.
100%, yeah.
Positioning, mindset, things like that.
Steve Javi's still running the official replay? Or?
Steve Javi works for ESPN.
He's ESPN. Okay,
in
that's
the
why.
replay center
Got it.
On rule interpretations and things of that nature.
Because I remember Joe Borgia was the guy before that.
Correct.
I know okay.
But Steve works for ESPN, where Joe Borgia was working for the NBA. He was the head of the replay center, and since then, Kane Fitzgerald, who was on the floor, came off the floor to be the head of the replay department.
Got it. And so is this kind of why you're here in Vegas at the Summer League? Just kind of, I guess we're getting some looks at new refs too, right?
Summertime is a very big look for young referees. What people don't know is we have an entire scouting department for referees.
Wow.
And these people look at high school and college referees, and then they make their recommendations. And then we have various camps before we get to this point. We have what's called a mid-level camp, and that grassroots first for referees that basically know nothing.
A lot of levels.
But the scouting department said they have potential.
Yeah.
So they go to the grassroots. If we like them in grassroots, we take them to our mid-level.
Yeah.
Now, this is all inside of a couple of weeks of each other.
Wow.
If we like them in mid-level, we take them to what we call an elite camp.
Yeah.
And then from there, we will hire future G League referees. I think this year we hired 5 in the G League from those camps.
Right.
And then we bring them here and this is all within a very short period of time. And we watch their skills on the court here and teach.
I mean, that's the interesting part to me, the amount of levels and steps you have to take to even get in a summer league game, right? I mean,
no one understands the accountability that we have with our referees and the training that we have with our referees and our Zoom calls during the summer, during the winter, all training sessions.
Right, so since we're on the topic of summer league, I mean, I think the main storyline this year is how it continues to expand. I guess it could be a global phenomenon, if you will. How is it different from back in the day when if you even reffed at summer league? I mean, it's probably changed significantly, right?
Well, we worked in one gym, and we probably had maybe 1,500 people in the gym, if that many.
Right, yeah.
Right. So, yes, the summer league production, if you will, has grown in leaps and bounds, and internationally.
Mm-hmm. No, that's obviously we have Wemby, this #1 pick this year, but it's crazy how it's taken off, and it's kind of people look forward to this every year.
Well, it's awesome. What you find is that the current NBA players come and watch their new teammates, and it's great. It's a great support system.
Experience. Everybody's in a great mood here. It's a summer league. I mean, can't complain about it, but this kind of
we could complain a little bit about the 109 degrees outside.
That is true. But
aside from that, it's nice and cool in here.
I mean, Connecticut in the summer. I mean, it's humid, so I mean that you argue just as bad.
Sometimes, yes, I agree.
Maybe not as bad as 110 degrees, but luckily we're in here all day. So this is kind of similar to the last question, but I believe your last year was 2015. Talk about kind of the way that officiating has taken off technologically and the new innovations that are being tried out here at Summer League. You know, wearing mics, replay review decisions directed towards the crowd. And obviously, the newest one is the flopping foul and the extra challenge, which I'm not really a fan of, but you go.
As a referee, whether we're in favor of something or not, we're simply employees, so we carry out the wishes of the governors of the league.
Right.
But as far as technology is concerned, basically, I got started. There were 28 referees. We were in a two-man system.
28.
There wasn't any technology.
Yeah.
When we did our game report after the game, every crew chief has to do a game report. When we did our game report, if we were in L.A., we would put it in the mail, and New York wouldn't see it 3 days later. Now, it's instantaneous.
Right.
It's kind of mind-boggling in some ways.
Yep.
Social media has come into play now, where we would argue on the court for 3 minutes about a play, and then it was forgotten. Now, we have millions of people weighing in on social media, good, bad, or indifferent, and it just doesn't go for 5 minutes. It goes for weeks at a time. So there's been major differences in that area of the game.
Are these some of these rules and innovations something that you would like to have, or?
I think that it's a great experimental place for us. Similar to when replay came in. All of this was step by step. It just didn't boom come in.
It wasn't just an overnight thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is a great place to institute rules that we think might help the game.
Yep.
Instant replay has been a big hit. We try to shorten the length of time of it sometimes, but in the mindset of referees, we want to get the game right. So if there's something that we called wrong, and replay shows that it's right, we're its biggest fan.
Right. And I think they like, going to the screen, talking to the fans at home, fans in the crowd, announcing the call. I mean, I would personally like to do that if I was a ref. It's a good little gig to have. So I want to talk about the preparation of referees. I think most people, the normal eye of the basketball fan, just thinks you kind of guys just walk into the game and start refereeing, walk into the arena. Talk about the hours of prep and film you have to go through to perfect the craft, if that's possible as a ref.
When you said hours,
that's an understatement.
Hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of videotape, Zoom sessions. We test our referees weekly on the rules. They're given tests that they have to fill out and send back to us. So the engagement of a referee today is year-round.
Right.
Shown by where we are right now. We had 5 camps, this being the final camp this year. So the referees are engaged from beginning to end.
Yeah.
The physical shape that a referee has to stay in.
Sure. You got to run with professional athletes on the court. I mean, it's
we
no
don't
joke.
get substitutes.
Yeah.
Players get substitutes.
That's a good point.
A lot of people don't realize those little things.
There's only 3 of you. Yeah. I mean.
So, but the training has incredibly bettered the referees of today. They're so advanced from when I first started. They've got it all over me. I mean, and most of us back then.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you've been around the game for a while. You've 1,805 regular season games, 238 playoff, 25 NBA finals. You have to have. Give me your best memory as a referee. A game that you talk to your kids. You're most proud to say that you officiated, that you called.
There's so many games, as you mentioned. It may not be the finals. I mean, it could be the first round of Chicago, New York. Back in the day, and it was a knockdown, drag-out fights. But I have to say, one of the most exciting games that I ever refereed. Who's this gentleman? I don't want to interrupt the broadcast, but I know him from somewhere. Wonderful man.
Mr. Warren Legary, he's puts on the whole show for Summer League.
He's the guy.
It's the reason that we're all here today.
He's
the reason we're all here today. That too.
But I will say this. He runs one of the best organized
100%
summer leagues that I've ever seen. Good timing. But one of my most exciting games, I'll say, as a referee, was when Michael Jordan came out of retirement from baseball, and I think he wore number 45 at that time. His first game back at Madison Square Garden, where he was like basically getting the rust off of him. Michael always loved the stage. I had the game where he scored 55 points at Madison Square Garden, and the place was rocking.
Unbelievable.
The referees don't get involved in that kind of stuff, but now looking back,
you're like,
it was an atmosphere second to none.
That was the game he wore number 45 too, right?
Yes.
That's the famous 45 game.
Same as 45.
I mean, that's a lot of history right there in that one game.
The place was, I mean, they always rock during the finals and the playoff games.
Yeah.
But for a regular season game,
felt like a play.
For him to come out and hit 55 points,
that's crazy.
Was incredible performance.
And I noticed, when the final schedule is announced, the referees are also announced before the finals start. Today, was that the same for you back then? Like, did you know, I'm calling Game 3 of the finals, in LA this year, for example,
Well, it's that you made the finals. Excuse me. You know that you made a playoff list, right?
Right.
And I think, if the numbers are correct, I think it's 36 referees that start the first round. And then in the second round, some are dropped off, and it's approximately 28 referees. Wow. But you don't know while you're working the first round if you're going to make the second round. A lot of it is based on performance of what you do in the first round. And it's the same thing that once you're in the second round, then we decide who's going to the third round and then finally the finals. So to answer your question, we know who the 36 referees are. We don't know who's going to be standing at the end.
Right.
I mean, obviously there's some senior guys that have been through the wars that they're going to be there, right?
I mean, you did 238 of those playoff games, so I'd assume your performance was more than decent.
It was okay. We did okay.
No, that's kind of what I wanted to cover today. I want to give you a bonus question, though.
Sure.
There's a good amount, but give me your best athlete to come out of Connecticut. Could be any sport.
Ooh.
I know you're longtime friends with Bobby Valentine.
Bobby and I are longtime friends, and he would be up there. Maybe the best all-around athlete would be Bobby Valentine. Probably the greatest football player would be Andy Robustelli, the Hall of Fame football giant, and then became general manager of the team. But He was big time in his day. He was the captain of the Giants.
Yeah.
And in those days, there was nothing bigger than that. So coming out of Connecticut, I mean, there's a couple of more, but he would stand out. And Bobby Valentine would probably be the all-around best athlete. But you also have Steve Young. I mean,
Greenwich High.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not to be forgotten. In
Right, that's another guy, man. Yeah, wow.
In a small way.
Yeah, I mean, people like to laugh at Connecticut, I think, but I mean, look at us. Look at 2023 champs for UConn this year.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely. 5
titles since '99. Let's give us some respect, right?
Not bad. Not bad for a small little Connecticut.
Right, exactly. Well, I think that about wraps it up today, but I just also want to give out a thank you to producer Ryan Gentry and Sean Rags. They've been amazing and helped me get set up here, and just want to give a thank you to them. But thank you for coming on today, Mr. Salvatore. It was a pleasure.
Jim, it was my pleasure. Good luck to you in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.